Hey, what's up, guys? This is CG with Politics Mob, and today we're talking about Bernie Sanders and his decision to stop running for president. Let's get into it.
Ask what you can do for your country.
And always will be the United States of America.
We're going to build the wall.
Tear down this wall.
All right, look, Bernie fans, I get it. This was your guy. He was your guy in 2016. He was your guy in 2020. You believe in the things that he believes in. You want radical change. You want a revolution. I appreciate that. But let's not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. An all or nothing approach is not the right way to attack the general election. So what I wanted to do today was go through some things that you might actually appreciate Joe Biden for. And at the end, I will go through some things that you are absolutely missing out on without having Bernie Sanders as an option. Healthcare. This is an easy one. Anyone supporting Bernie Sanders or paying attention to him the last 30 years knows that he wants Medicare for all, effectively a single-payer system, making healthcare free for everyone in the United States. Joe Biden is not that progressive on healthcare. Some would say this is a good thing. It depends on your point of view. Joe Biden wants to increase the protections of the Affordable Care Act, commonly known as Obamacare, and make it more equitable, more fair, and less expensive for the consumer. Whether or not you think that he can get that done is up to you, but he does support changes to the current status quo of the healthcare system. The Green New Deal. If you're not familiar with the Green New Deal, in short, this was an activist-driven proposal that wants to eliminate greenhouse gases and fossil fuel emissions. Both candidates support the Green New Deal. Bernie Sanders' support was just a little bit more aggressive. He wanted to get rid of fossil fuels by the year 2030 and wanted to put an immediate ban on fracking for natural gas. Joe Biden wanted to eliminate fossil fuels and greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2050 and a progressive restriction on fracking as opposed to an all-out immediate ban. They're not actually that far apart when you think about it on policy terms. Housing. I'm not going to go into housing into too much detail. I recommend going to both candidates' websites and reading their plans, but they're not actually that different. Both candidates support the increasing availability of affordable housing for lower income individuals, and both candidates would raise taxes on the wealthy to support that. Marijuana. All right, here's a big one. As all of you know, a lot of states have already legalized weed, but for those that haven't, Bernie Sanders was supporting the idea of legalizing weed nationwide. Biden wasn't willing to take it that far. He was willing to say that he would support decriminalizing weed nationwide, making it a civil offense instead of a criminal offense, and that he would not go after states that did decide to legalize it in the future. If you live in a state like I do, California, where it's already legal, you effectively would not be changed at all by either a Biden or Sanders presidency. If you live in a state like Alabama, obviously this could affect you, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously, it depends on who wins the general election. But just so you are aware, both candidates are pretty much pro-weed. Immigration. Here's another one where Sanders is slightly more progressive than Joe Biden, but not by much. Sanders wanted to call for an immediate moratorium on deportation, effectively stopping deportations nationwide, so no one would get deported for any reason except for, something criminal. Joe Biden wouldn't take it that far, but he did say publicly that he would not deport people that were brought here as children or people that served in the military. And I have to admit that he probably would not use ICE as aggressively as Donald Trump has used it, or even Obama, honestly, who used ICE quite a bit. College. All right, here's another one where there's a little bit of a gap, right? So Sanders does support the idea of free university tuition for all, as well as the immediate elimination of all student loan debt. So just forgiving all student loan debt immediately for everyone, and then providing free tuition for anyone that wants to go to college. Biden isn't that aggressive. He's supporting free community college for everybody and then restructuring the way that we currently pay for student loans. So if you make faithful payments for 20 years, then you would be eligible for debt forgiveness and not have to make any more payments after that. So he's not going to forgive current student loan debt, but he would make it easier for current students to get into college and to pay for college after the fact. Gun control. This is one that might actually surprise a lot of people out there. In many instances, Joe Biden is actually more progressive on gun control than Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, being from Vermont, is very much status quo on gun control. Now, that might be okay with you. I'm not making a judgment here, just stating the facts. Joe Biden is actually a little bit more progressive here. He wants to make it so that if you own an assault rifle or an assault weapon of any type, that you need to have that weapon registered with the federal government. If you refuse to do so, then there will be a federal government buyback plan in which they will buy the gun back from you. So you will either have to sell your gun to the government or register it with the government if you own an assault weapon. Joe Biden has been supporting this for a while now. That's not the case for Sanders. So this is actually an issue where Sanders is to the right of Joe Biden. All right. Here are the things that you are definitely missing out on now that Bernie Sanders is no longer an option for you. I don't want to sugarcoat this for you at all. I'm not telling you how to feel about it. I'm just stating the facts. Now that Sanders has dropped out of the race, you will no longer, in the general election, have the option of voting for someone that voted against the Patriot Act, voted against the Defense Against Marriage Act, voted against NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, voted against the war in Iraq. That's gone. So know that. And if those things are important to you, then stay home or vote third party. I'm not telling you what to do, right? I'm just saying that that's what you're missing. The other issues, you're just moving a little bit closer to the center on if you vote for Joe Biden. The sky is not falling. You still have options. You still have ways to create the change that you want to see in the world. You still have ways to improve the status quo. You still have ways to move that dial a little bit to the left, right? That's the whole point. That's what Sanders was trying to do. And I just want people to keep that in mind. You've got to do you, obviously. I'll do me. But that's it for this time. See you guys in the next one. Later.